Alright. Hello everyone. Today we are finishing up Ring 5. Or at least getting close to it. Yeah, very epic. We'll wait to get started for a few more people to join the stream. But until then, what should we do? I guess I can upload the thumbnail. Yeah. By the way, I did give you, the one who made that thumbnail, a new role in the Discord called GFX Designer. I kind of was thinking it made more sense for the game thumbnail, but I suppose I will make it for the stream thumbnail. So let me upload the file. Where is it? I put it somewhere. There we go. Yeah, that definitely looks a lot better. You will need to refresh the stream to see that change. Yes. I gave you the GFX designer role, which should just be the same permissions as the base role, but no, that's it actually. But you also have the builder role, so since I put GFX designer above builder, you should also get those permissions. Wait. And you also get it because you also have the builder role. Like, you can have multiple roles at one time. It just displays the higher one. I think that's how that works. It's like, even if GFX designer was below builder, you'd still be able to have the things that builder role gives you, since you also have the builder role. Not just because you're, like, above that. Yeah. I'm still not completely sure how all this Discord stuff works, but definitely way more understanding of it than when I first started the Discord server. Also, I'm eating some cereal right now for breakfast, because otherwise I always end up forgetting to eat until after I'm done streaming, and that's not good. So yeah. Anyway, okay, so let's get started. We got up to 11 players or viewers. Pretty much there's one big thing I still have left to do to finish up Ring 5, and then a whole bunch of small things, like small little bug fix. Well, not really bug fixes. Some of them are, so yeah, some bug fixes. Some of them are just small little visual changes to various things. But there's kind of two main things. I still got to do the badges, but if I go to WinPad script, right here, I have this table where I list all the IDs, but Roblox only lets you upload up to 5 in a 24-hour period for free. So, like, I may as well just wait 24 hours between each one of these, because I'm not, like, even though I might finish this whole thing today, I'm still not going to release this until February 15th. But at this point, I do feel pretty confident in saying that's the release date. The only thing that really worries me is not being able to finish the video, so that's going to be a ton of editing, and the script for it is like over 12,000 words long, which is insane. So yeah, that's going to take forever. The video, I estimate, will probably be like 40 minutes. But anyway, that's enough time to just, like, each day upload 5 of these, so that'll be fine. And then it just, yeah. So the badges are pretty much done. And they'll use, like, a placeholder thing if they have not been designed and submitted in the Discord. Alright, so that's the first thing, which doesn't really need anything to be done here, because the last badge I uploaded was, like, I don't know, like 8 to 10 hours ago, I think. So I still have to wait another how many hours? Because, like, when you upload the first one for free, then it, like, starts a 24-hour timer, and then after that runs out, you get 5 again. It's not, like, within the same day of UTC time or anything. But the other main thing I need to do is the difficulty voting system. So basically, when you reach a certain point in each tower, you will be able to vote somewhere in the lobby, which will temporarily be this very terrible looking platform thing, on what you think the difficulty is. Now, I wrote some notes on how exactly I want to do that. So first, I want to place some invisible parts at the start of floor 7 on every tower, which I have actually already done. So as you can see, they're like this. They're visible for now, but they'll be invisible later. Pretty much those are set up just like checkpoints. Then, when you hit one of these invisible parts, you unlock the ability to vote on that tower's difficulty. Then, hold on, that information saves to a profile store. So we gotta make sure we save to a profile store with profile service, which is, well, you'll see soon enough, I suppose. Basically, we need to save so that this will be here when you rejoin, that you've unlocked the ability to vote on that. And then when you vote, it saves your vote to a data store. Not exactly in the same way as saving that you can vote. It's saving, because it's saving everyone's vote to the same data store. That way I can easily see all the votes. And then we'll also save which towers you have voted on. So that you can't vote multiple times on the same tower. So that's the plan. Let's see if that is a disaster or not. Okay. So we need to do, when you hit one of these invisible parts, you unlock the ability to vote on that tower's difficulty. Okay. So to save it to the data store, there are 2 main scripts that deal with that. Where is it? Server, script service. Player data, manager. Data is the other one. Okay. Basically, using profile service, which is the super long module script by Lullerus, that's all data store problems I don't have to worry about. So, yeah. Basically, it's like data stores, but it automatically, accounts for all the possible errors or things that can happen when you do data stores. And where is it? Here you go. So it creates these profiles, which are tables that are filled with each player in the server's save data. And then it also has a whole bunch of functions. It's a module script, which means other scripts can access functions I have in here. Not the ones that say local, but the ones that don't say local. So I can use it to, let's say, add an attempt to a player's tower stats for a given tower. They also have various other things it can do, including requesting information from the server, such as when we want to load the player's settings and display that in the settings script, we obviously need to know what the settings the player has set are. Furthermore, we're gonna need to make a new module. So let's say module dot, what is this saving? We're saving, I have too many tabs open. We're saving what towers you can vote on and what towers you have voted on. So let's sort of think of how that could be set up. Dot tower voting. I guess that's a good enough name as any. So it kind of sets this up like a table. It's not exactly what, let's say, hold on. Come on. Local example table. I'll delete this in a second, but let's say your save data looks something like this. When you unlock the ability to vote on a tower, let's say tower of, pick some random tower. How about tower of minimal vibrancy? That works. TOMV, that will be created as a key. And we say equals, and then we'll say true if you can vote on it, and false if you cannot vote on it. So, like, your table starts as just an empty table. And then let's say you reach the voting difficulty point thingy on this tower, which would be right there. We will then go to your data, like your save data basically, and then add an entry to it with the tower acronym, and then say equals, and then true because you can vote on it. Then, well, we will only do that if this entry doesn't already exist. Then when you go to vote, this will be updated to false. That way we have stored both that you have unlocked it and that you have voted. Or, in this instance, that you have unlocked it and have not voted. So true is whether or not you can vote, not whether or not you have voted. See the difference? Maybe. Roro, is there already an open game page of the ring, but is closed until release? Yeah. Let me get the game link. I put it in the description. Where is it? Hold on. Game link. Yeah, you can, if you go to where it says Tower of Birthday Celebrations, that's one of the Ring 5 towers, you can just, like, play it with no clip. That's this same place, but until I update it, it's just, like, that one tower right there. Okay, I have finished my cereal, so I will not, be super hungry in a few hours. Because, like, I always get up, like, 20 minutes before I stream. Or so. And then I'll, like, set up the stream. And apparently forget to get breakfast. But I remembered this time, but I didn't finish it before I started. Anyways. So, that's, like, this, just comment that out for now. We'll just leave it as a thing to reference, but this isn't actually going to be used in the script. So, since it's commented out, this doesn't do anything. Let's call it tower building profiles, actually. And plural because, well, let me show you. When I join into the game, I have a thing coded that will just print those profiles after a few seconds. So, once they all load. Not that. So we have, this one prints settings profile, or this one is the tower stats profile, and this one is the settings profile. So you can see the profiles table looks like this. A list of player names of all the people in the server. Then that is connected to a, or like that's the key, and then this is the table, which is a whole bunch of other tables. The one we really care about is data, which stores all your tower stats. So this is what I told it to do, save all these tower stats like this. And very similarly, we have the settings one where I've told it to do that. So tables are what most data stores are, because that way you can save multiple pieces of information within a single data store. Because connected to each key, you can only store one value. I think that's how that works. But a table is one value, so if you store a table with a bunch of values, it's kind of a way to do that. Thus, all this is a single value. So we have tower building profile, or tower voting profiles. Then this is the other one. Yeah, I always forget what exactly this does. What do we do? We do set up profile, and this runs when the player joins the game. So we go to, yeah, okay, so we load the profile from, okay. Kick the player if something goes wrong. Then, okay. Yeah, this is kind of the main part I need to worry about here. If profile store.name equals test, which I will need to eventually rename tower stats, it's just test for now for, well, testing purposes, because all this information here with a whole bunch of wins that I use no clip for testing purposes, I'll, like, get rid of those when I actually release the game, so that I don't have a bunch of like false tower stats like that. But yeah. So that kind of just pretend that says tower stats, and then so if we're loading that, then we're going to load that. Yeah, then we're going to go to this table here and put in this table for whatever player it is. If we're loading the profile store name, or if we're loading tower stats. Otherwise, so if we're loading settings, which I'm gonna have to do else if profile store name equals settings, right? Or is it settings profiles? Where do I call this? I guess we're about to find out. If I like click that to see where else that appears. Oh yeah, we do that with settings. No, wait. This can be else. It doesn't have to be else if. Because when I pass test, which will eventually be like this is only the temporary kind of weird thing it has to do, where it has to, if it's test, it loads that, because I can't just add the word profiles to it as I do with all the other ones. But I will be able to once it's actually called tower stats. So like if it's called settings, then I can go to manager.settings and then just attach the word profiles to it. So yeah. That's why I did it like that. So actually I don't have to change anything here. Because like if I call the profile store tower voting, that should work. So if I add to here local tower voting profile, singular this time because it's for a single player, and then do setup profile, call it tower voting, and we need a template. So which means what do I want the table to look like for a new player with no save data here? I want it to be just an empty table, which I think means I can actually use this same module script, which is literally the default module script. This is what it looks like when you first add a new module script, but I want it to be an empty table. I think technically I could reference that same module script, but just in case I ever want to change any of these and make it so it's not just a default table, I'll go tower voting template. So now I need to call that, but I need a variable for it, so hold on. Let me go up here. Local tower voting template equals require script.parent.tower voting template. The word require basically means we're getting like the contents of the module and not just referencing this object in the Explorer. Because that's our first variable called tower voting template. And for who? Or for whom? Player. The player who just joined, in other words. Okay. Very cool. So far, so good. Hopefully I haven't lost any of you with what exactly I'm doing here. To recap everything, basically I'm setting it up so it's like gonna have another profile of information on what towers you can vote on and what towers you have already voted on. Okay, so then what do we do here? We can do something with the profile after we've loaded it. So if we have just loaded, if tower stats profile is unequal to nil, which is just like one more check to make sure it actually loaded properly, we can do give leader stats, which will give me a second, let it load, which will display this with how many towers you've completed. That's actually the only one I'm doing in data. There's plenty of other stuff that works with these data stores or profile stores elsewhere in other scripts, but this is the only one within data. I also just printed settings profile which I'll probably just remove that by release, but that's fine. I guess I can also do if tower voting profile isn't equal to nil, then print tower voting profile. Yeah. Oh wait, unequal to nil. I think technically I could also say just if tower voting profile, and this is kind of implied, but I prefer to just say isn't equal to nil. Makes me a bit more, or makes it a bit more clear for me. How length, width, and height of a mini tower floor? Preferred is 30 by 30 and 8 floors, although you can go up to 50 by 50 and 8 floors, such as for that one. Okay, so if I start the game again, theoretically it should print that. Not from print profile. I will make it do that shortly, but somewhere else. From data. Yeah, here we go. One of these should be settings. Probably the first one, since that's one I called first. Yeah. Data, this other one, the tower voting thing, data is an empty table because it defaulted to my tower voting template, which is an empty table. Or if I'd have joined again, it would have been whatever it was when I left the last time. So, actually, if I go to test scripts, print profile, these are just a bunch of random test scripts I'll delete. Tower voting profiles. The main one is just printing them so I can see them. But since it's printing them there, now I don't even need to print them here. Let me add a comment here. The other two profiles, we do stuff with the other two profiles with the other two profiles in other scripts. Yeah, so I think within this function is probably where I'm going to want to do anything regarding save data that I want to happen as soon as you join the game, such as giving you the leader stats. So I could come back and need that for perhaps the tower voting, but we'll see. Okay, we can close that. We don't need that anymore. Now, manager. We need to set up functions that will edit these profiles. So, for example, with tower stats profile, we had one to add an attempt for certain tower stats. We had one to add to your total time. We had one to add win. For settings, we had just one that updates your settings. And then, I guess we'll need one for tower voting. Tower voting functions. I think we'll need two for these. So let's say function module dot enable voting. Let's call it that. This is going to be when you reach floor 7 of a tower, such as this is right here, and hit this will be invisible part. And thus you are now allowed to vote on that tower's difficulty. Given what arguments, so like what do we tell it to do? We need the player, who will be a player. We need the tower name, and I think that's actually it. Which is a string. Putting this like colon string thing, that's just optional. It makes it so if you call the script and it does like, let's say, do any string, like this thing, it'll like tell you that. So it'll be like, oh, this needs to be a player object. That's kind of what that is. It's not required. But yeah. Are there any plans for community-made citadels? Probably not. But I did have an idea for like a collab tower I could do with some people, whoever wants to, I guess, of a catastrophic difficulty tower, which will probably be in like ring 7. So, yeah, we'll get to it eventually. You've seen how long Ring 5 is taking, but most of the stuff I'm doing, maybe not most of it, but a good amount of it, I won't have to do again. Or at least if I do, it'll go a lot faster because I did most of the work already. Like, coding the whole menu, that took me like 2 weeks to get that fully working. That, I won't have to do much of that again. So, cool. So, enable voting. Given a player and the tower acronym. Or not tower acronym, but the tower... No, it can be tower acronym. Yeah. Because we have this other module script in replicated storage. That's not replicated. This one, acronym converter, where you can just... This is a much... Yeah, if you still don't understand what a module script is, well, this kind of explains it. Because it's a much simpler example than this 150-line one. We have just a single function in here that any script can use, since it's in replicated storage, local scripts and server scripts alike. They can pass any tower acronym, let's say TOC, and then it will return, based on this table, Tower of Creamsicle. Or if they pass like TOA, that's not here, it'll return nil. Which is very epic. So I have that, so that's how I can like easily convert from acronym to full name. I don't have like a quick way to do full name to acronym, but that hasn't really been a problem anyway. Okay, so where were we? Enable voting, player, tower acronym, then what do? We do local profile equals... Yeah, so we gotta find the profile of the player, not settings profiles, but tower voting profiles. So we look through that table up here at the top, which will have players in the server, and see... Where's that? Here we go. And see if that profile exists. And if it doesn't, just stop, because something's going wrong. But most of the time, there should be a profile. Okay, then what do? We do... Yeah, pretty much just update it, so... We're enabling voting, which means you just reached a tower, which means for that tower, your entry... Like, let's say you reach this point of Tower of Berry Blast. That means we're going to want to... Let me just close that since I keep scrolling on the wrong script, I think. That means we're going to want to add... Did I delete that? Hold on. That means we're going to want to add to a table your entry... Hold on. We want to add TOBB and then equals true. And if you've already hit this point in the tower, this will already be here, either saying true or false. So we want to check that that exists or not. There it is. If profile dot data, so here's the whole profile. We're looking in data, which is a dictionary script, which means I can't easily do table.find. So I have to do a bit of a weird thing. Did I already search for? Yeah. A local function only accessible to the script to see if a tower name already exists in a given profile. It returns true if the name exists and false if it does not exist. But that's like for this one, so it sort of runs a little bit differently. But we basically searched through the table. Yeah, I don't think I really need to make a whole function for this, since I'm just going to use that here. So let's do for index value in profile.data, okay. If the index, so if the tower acronym equals the tower acronym that was passed, so let's say TOBB, if we find that in the table, and it matches, or if we find anything in the table, let's say that, and this matches the acronym of this tower, then that means they've already reached that point in the tower. And return true. Yeah, maybe it is easier to store as a function. Let's store it as a variable. Local can enable voting. Let's call it that. And start it as nil, and then if we find the thing there, then can enable voting is false. So if we find TOBB in that table, then can enable voting is now false. And if we get through the whole thing and don't find any matches, then I guess we can do, if can enable voting still equals nil, then can enable voting equals true. Okay, let me add some comments because it's kind of, that feels like a really weird way to do that, but I think it should work. But I just type comment. See if the player already has an entry in their profile with that acronym. If we find any matches, set can enable voting to false. If we make it through the entire profile with no matches, set can enable voting to true. We can say, if can enable voting is true, that means the player has just reached floor 7 of that tower for the first time. Yeah, I tend to write a lot more comments than I really need to, but, you know, it'll be nice. Maybe. New logo? Yes. And also, am I coding the difficulty poll system? Yes, I am. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, maybe, yeah. If you asked that, you probably were at least decently sure of that. But cool. Okay. So all this was just to see if the player has already unlocked the ability to vote on that. So now we can do if can enable voting equals true, meaning they just hit the floor 7 for the first time. Then we want to update the thing. We actually need to update the thing, the profile. So we can do profile.data and then we're gonna do this since we've confirmed that such an entry does not exist. We can just say this and it will create a new one. So the tower acronym, let's say TOBB, is passed here. The TOBB key is now going to equal true. Cool. Hold on. This could be put in a more logical place. Let me Control X that. If can enable voting is true, that means the player has just reached floor 7 for the first time. That means we're good to create a new entry saying they are able to vote on that tower. All right. So this is going to be called whenever a player hits floor 7 of any tower, whether for the first time or not. We're going to see if they have reached floor 7 before, and if they have not, then we're going to set up a new entry and say true, yes, they can vote. If they have reached floor 7 before, we'll find it in here and then not do anything else. Meaning it's not going to be set to true, meaning you won't be able to vote multiple times, which would be bad because we don't want that. Now we need another function, module.submitVote. Let's say, well, no, because that implies that's when we're saving it to like the big data store of all the votes, which is probably going to be done outside of profile service, though I probably could do it with profile service, but whatever. We'll get to that, but we want to do module dot, what else am I going to call it, though? This is just saving that you have voted, nothing about what you did vote. Although, would it be worth saving that? I think maybe it would. Okay, I'll call it submit vote, sure. So we want to know the player, which is going to be a player object. We want to know the tower acronym, which is going to be a string. And we want to know difficulty vote, which is your actual vote, and that will be a number. No, wait. Yeah, how do I want to save this? Do I want to save it? I'm basing this off of the Forgotten Ridge, which is when that was first released. They did this, an in-game difficulty voting thing. They've stopped doing that since, but I'm going to do that. As I recall, and you can go watch an old video of mine and see this, but don't because it's really cringe. Well, I wouldn't mind the extra view, let's put it that way. They had like 5 buttons of difficulties around its submitted difficulty. So let's say this tower. Tower of Vast Outdoor Expeditions. Actually, none of these really had like high hard, low hard. Well, a couple of them did. Like this one was apparently peak intense. But I only know that because they put that, which only a few of these did. But, yeah, like, the order I've placed these in is pretty much like these, which are kind of undeniably the 3 easiest. These first 3. And in that order. But I guess the difficulty voting will decide. Then I kind of just went in, like, the submission order. So, like, this might be harder than this, or this harder than this. I don't really know. This one was submitted first, so just put it first. But, whatever. It doesn't matter. Point is, they weren't submitted as like why am I talking about this? Because do I want to save it as like do I want when you vote do I save that you voted where's something I can type out here that you voted quote high hard or that you voted some number like which number is hard? I think 3.8. Theoretically, I could have you save like that, but nah, I think I'd rather just do three like zones within each difficulty. So like you can vote low hard, medium hard, or mid hard, high hard, and then maybe like into the next difficulty a little bit too. So on or not even a purist neat as it's called now, or not even a fully purist neat, you would probably be able to vote in its like submitted / I guess my opinion if there was no submitted exact difficulty zone. So you could vote high intense. You could also vote 2 zones below, which would be mid intense and low intense, and you could also vote 2 zones above, mid or low remorseless, mid remorseless. Makes sense. There'll be 5 buttons kind of surrounding my opinion, but yeah. Roro, the game I'm working on has difficulty voting system too. Nice. Roro, is Ring 5 done yet? Well, we're finishing it today or getting very close. This is the last big thing I need to work on, is this difficulty voting. And then after that, it's just a bunch of smaller things. And will Ring 5 Tower Rush just sit there? No, it's there temporarily for easy testing purposes. I'm going to hide it somewhere in the lobby or ring on the release, which I will not share in the video or any stream, so that you have to find it, because that's the point. But yeah, the lobby's definitely going to need an upgrade too, I feel like. We'll see though. Where were we? Yeah, so we're going to save as a string then. String. Sorry. Okay, so let's, as an example, let's say your tower acronym equals TO, or let's do NEEFPM, not even a fully purist neat, since that one I know it's submitted difficulty of high intense. And difficulty vote, let's say you agree, you want it to be high intense too. And when I actually place it on the difficulty chart, I will probably just like average the votes. So yeah, but temporarily assume this is your like voting information. So first things first, we want to get the profile. We can actually just copy paste that. module.tower voting profiles, and then, oh wait, that's a problem. Oopsie. Let me fix that. Did I typo up here too? No. Okay. Glad I noticed that, because otherwise it would have broken everything. So we find the profile, make sure it exists, and then when is this going to be called? This is going to be called when you go click the button. So we want to check that you can vote, although we'll do that to make, like, you're not going to be able to click the button if you haven't voted, but I suppose another check here won't hurt anything. No, actually, I'll just leave it to wherever I call that script. If you're referencing SMToH length indicators, then it honestly would say very long in the Ring 5 Tower Rush warning. Yeah, I just put extremely long. I don't really know. I would prefer to put, like, actual amounts of time, or at least, like, rounding to the nearest, like, 30 minutes, or for something shorter, maybe nearest minute on these, or for this, maybe, like, nearest 10 minutes. But I haven't played through the whole Tower Rush legit, so who knows. So we won't do a check here that the player can vote. We'll just do that before we call this. So let's assume they can indeed vote. So we're gonna do, well, wait, hold on. Would it be easier to do that here? Because, no, it'll be fine. Okay. I know I'm going back and forth on deciding this, but, well, this is how this is going to go. So, yeah, we just need to do something with this to update it. So, we need to update this table. Instead of saying true, yes, you can vote, it's now going to say false. But I also wanted to store what your vote was. But also, does that even matter? Like, is it, unless I want to code a thing where you can change your vote. But I don't know, I don't really want to do that. Mainly because I don't feel like it. If I updated it from true, yes, you can vote, to a table where it says just what your vote was, maybe. Or no, it wouldn't even need to be a table, because I can just do, like, high intense. Since that's not true, is something else. We sort of already know it's that you did vote. But, I kind of like the call it true or false. And then, when I save into the big data store all the votes of everyone, I'll put, like, your user ID attached to it. So if you really want to know, I could figure it out. But am I really quiet? Is that better? Hopefully. But, like, yeah. I think I can just do profile.data tower acronym equals false. Yeah. So, wait, but we do want to check that it exists. If profile.data tower acronym, so we look for neathpn in, not and, then, if that's unequal to nil. So if that exists, then we'll update it. If it doesn't exist, well, why is this even being called? We should have sufficient checks for that, but this is kind of just another one. Cool. Now let me add descriptions to these functions with comments. This function will save to a player's profile that they have voted on a tower. This makes it so they cannot vote on that tower again. Then I want to do one here. This function will be called whenever a player reaches floor 7 of a tower. If they have never reached there before, this allows them to now vote on that tower's difficulty. Cool. That thumbnail is awesome. Yes, thank you to Radianite for making that. I'll use that as the thumbnail for SMToH as well on the Ring 5 release. So I guess this is a sort of demo, and it's proving quite successful, because you're not the first one to say, or the first person to compliment that. Why does the enable voting function make can enable voting false if they reach floor 7 twice? Does it? Well, no, because the can enable voting is different from if this is true or not. Can enable voting is just it's basically all this is equivalent to doing, not exactly equivalent, but it's basically, since it's a dictionary and not an array, I basically have to do all this to do this. So I'm just searching if the player has already reached floor 7 or not. And then storing if, like, okay, so if they reach floor 7, if they have reached floor 7 before, then this is false, which makes it so we can't actually update the profile. But if we get through the entire table and they have not reached floor 7 before, then we set that to true, and thus we can update the profile. This is what actually updates the profile. This is just part of the overly complicated table.find. Shameless promo incoming, but have you ever played DETOH, Roro? Isn't that democratically elected towers or something? I could do that in like a video. The Greater Tower Community Hub thing. Yeah, that's I could do that. I could play a bunch of those for a bunch of videos. Because the fan game videos where I play a JTOH fan game, those tend to do well. So I guess I could play that. And I'm going to submit SMToH to that as well. I just want to wait until Ring 5 releases. Because, I don't know, would they accept me with 2 towers? But, okay, I think we're done here. We're done with manager. I'll leave it open anyway, though. So now I need a separate script that kind of deals with the can you vote. It'll probably go in server script servers. Let's call this tower voting script. And then I also want to authorize it. Wrong thing. Oopsie. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, there. That's just an anti-exploit so that that is allowed to exist. Tower, where's it? Tower voting script. Here it is. Okay. So, what do we need to do here? We're gonna let me check my notes on how I was going to code this. When you hit one of these invisible parts, you unlock the ability to vote on that tower's difficulty. That information saves to a profile store. We have now done that. Let me mark it in green on this Google Doc so that I know to myself that I've done that. When you vote, it saves your vote to a data store. Well, actually, I kind of coded that. I'll mark it in yellow, actually. I didn't make it so it actually updates. I just made the things necessary to be able to update it. When you vote, it saves your vote to a data store. Every player's vote is saved to the same key so they can easily see all the votes. This is done without profile service. It's not really, I haven't really done that yet. But tower voting script. Okay. So first, let's like access all these visible parts. So let's go to difficulty voting points. Let's go local difficulty voting points folder. Nice spelling. Difficulty voting points folder equals workspace dot or workspace wait for child difficulty voting points get children. No, wait, just wait for child. Never mind. Then we're going to go through that. So for underscore, what should I call it? Point. We'll just call it point. It's short for difficulty voting points, I suppose. In pairs, difficulty voting points folder. Get children. It's kind of a really long variable name. I don't really like that, but that's probably the only place I'm going to call that anyway, so that's fine. So for all of these, point.touched connect function part. So when anything hits one of these parts, we then want to go if part.parent find first child humanoid, then this confirms a player was the one who touched the part. Then at that point, I probably would just want to call this, although a debounce would be nice. So for each of these, all right, but I don't want to have to do this. Where did I do this before? Was it in Tower Rush script? I think it was Tower Rush script, maybe WinPad script. Is there something called debounce table? Yes, here we go. Which is like a really stupid way of doing a debounce, but I think it's the best way, so whatever. Okay. We want to do this for the whole for in loop, right? Is that how I set this up? Oh, wait, hold on. I put it after a little check where I did if point is a base part, then. Okay. What that does is basically confirms that it's actually one of these parts like I think it is, which it should be since that's all that's in this folder, but should I ever add, say, a script or something, or any of these, to any of these, I don't want it to try to do like script.touched. That doesn't exist and it'll break the whole script. So yeah, that just kind of prevents that from happening. Not really necessary, but kind of nice. I don't know. So for each WinPad, or in this case, difficulty voting point, we want to start a table. A player-by-player debounce. This table contains a player for 1 second after they hit not the WinPad but the voting point. Actually, we can do more than that for this. Let's go 10 seconds. Not that we'll need to be calling it again anyway. Okay, let me explain exactly what this is. So a debounce is like, let's say, what's a good example? When you step on this part, it prints something in the output. Random example that you wouldn't really see in an actual game, but just go with it. But we only want it to print one time. We don't want it to print like 50 times because like when you step on it, you fire the touched event many times. Just disable can touch, the player touches the part. Like, okay, I didn't code it to print that, but like that would print like 10 times. Another example, let's try this. Yeah, see how it says, see how it says you hit the TOWO teleporter 6 times? Yeah, that's bad. Now, that's actually okay for this one. This is teleport script in the main when you hit the portal. Because I've basically done a debounce already by only letting you do like the teleport if you're not already in a tower. The only reason it's printing that many times is because that's outside sort of the debounce check with this. So when I delete that, which I guess I'll do when I release this, I can also, you know what, just delete it now. There's no reason it still needs to be there. There. So now, all the teleporting stuff only happens if you pass the debounce. So it's like, I sort of did... Oh no. I've received a text message of something. We'll get to that. But, yeah, pretty much in doing this, to make sure you can't re-enter it, like if you're in a tower and then somehow make it back to the lobby and then try to enter another tower, it's not going to let you. By doing that, I also kind of did a debounce. In WinPad script, I want to debounce too, which was basically when you step on the WinPad, it checks if debounce, the variable, is set to true. If it is set to true, then you get teleported to the win room, and then it sets it to false for 1 second so that you don't hit that multiple times. But since that is server-sided, it's going to be false for everyone. So that means if 2 people hit the WinPad at the same time, then one person's going to have to wait 1 second. Not too big of a problem unless there's like speed running, just not the best way to do that, which is where the debounce table comes in. A list of player names who like who can't hit the WinPad, which their name will be in there for 1 second. So I can kind of follow that model here. So yeah, I guess I'll need humanoid as a variable. Let's just go ahead and say local humanoid equals that humanoid. If humanoid and debounce table humanoid.parent.name, which is going to be the player name, equals nil. So if it was a player who hit the part, and if their name is not already in this table, then we're good to do stuff. First thing we should do is add in their name to the debounce table. Now we're good to define character name, I suppose. Well, we don't really need to right now. But we're going to do then all the stuff we need to, and then 1 second later, remove their name from that list. So this is where we're going to do all the stuff when you hit one of these difficulty voting points. Why is this blue? What is it not like? Oh, player.name. We just haven't defined that. That's fine. We'll get to that, because I'm sure I'll need a variable called player. Sorry, I should state that can touch is a property of base part. Can touch disables the ability to fire touched events on the part, so it's a nice permanent solution to the touching a part once problem. Well, I could do dot, or what am I looking at? Here we go. Nope, wrong thing. Dot touched :once or something, or disconnect it, but I don't know. To me, this seems to work well enough. But we add their name to the table, and then we're good to do things. So they've hit this part. I keep referencing the Tower of Berry Blast one because it's like really easy to see. So that's why I'm doing that, if you're wondering. At that point, we want to call the manager and say, hey, let me speak to your manager. So funny. We want to say, do enable voting. So we'll pass the player, we'll pass the tower acronym, and say, hey, this player just reached floor 7 in this tower. What are you going to do about it? That's what's going on there. So we're going to need the player. So local player equals... Hold on. We need to define some services up here. Let's go local player. Why have I received a text message again? Ah, okay. So remember that... I'll explain later what exactly these text messages are, because, I'll get way too off task if I do. And you probably don't care anyway. But we're going to do local players equals game get service players. Now, by the way, do know the difference between a character and a player. Let me join the game to explain this. This script will probably throw errors, but that's fine. Okay, so your character is like your character model within the world. Your player is within players, and this stores things like your backpack and your player GUI. So that's kind of the difference there. We're going to do local player equals players get player from character, I think. Yeah, that'll work. Humanoid.parent. I could just do a variable. Local character equals part.parent. I think in theory I could even define that up here before we confirm that it even was a player who hit that. I don't know. It errored out one time when I did that, so I don't like it. Well, no, not part. I can just do... Well, that would work too, I guess, but... Humanoid.parent. That works. Whatever. Okay, so we have that player and the character model. I don't think I even need this, but that's fine. Then we want to call the manager. Let me speak to your manager. We want to say, wait, I need to require it first. So I'm going to need server script service. Server script service equals game get service server script. Server script service. What? Okay, when I just do the swipe to the left to clear the text message on my phone, it doesn't like clear it from my iPad unless I actually like open it. And then I have it set to ding again 2 minutes later if I don't clear it. Yeah. Anyways, calling the manager. Right. So we got server script service. Then we want to do local manager equals require server script service wait for child manager. Oh, wait for child player data because it's in that folder manager. There we go. The word require again means that we're getting like the contents of this module, so it's functions and tables and things instead of just its object right here. That's what the word require does. So now we can finally call the manager and say manager dot, what did I call that function? Enable voting. And we need the player, that's going to be the player, and the tower acronym, which is going to be point.name. See what I did there? By calling all these just the tower acronym, I can easily figure out the tower acronym I want the player... I want to update the profile store with, saying you have reached floor 7 of that tower. Theoretically, there might be other ways, but this is the simplest way, and I use that for other things as well. Like, I named all the win pads the tower acronym, so cool. And that one does not need to be the full name, because it's not how I coded it, because I just coded it to store the tower acronyms. Although, actually... maybe I do want to save the full name. And that's because of like duplicate acronyms, which I'm allowing, such as Tower of Birthday Celebrations and Tower of Big Cave. If they're in the same area as they are here, in the game's code, this one is called TOBC1, and this one is called TOBC2, the lower number corresponding to a lower difficulty. But I guess this tower voting thing will... What am I calling this profile store? I think just tower voting. That'll be across the whole game, I think. So... maybe I do want to save the full name. And then instead of storing it like this, I store it like that. It would be simple to make that change, but that also makes me wonder, how will I want to like clear all these? Because it really doesn't matter after like a week or two after I release the ring. The information in here isn't gonna matter, because like the difficulty's already been decided. I could change them if I wanted, or if there's popular demand to change the difficulty or anything like that, but the main voting will be over with at that point. But there's no way to just like delete everyone's data from a profile. I could make it so whenever you join, it clears your entire tower voting profiles entry, but that'll only be when you join, and there will definitely be people who join during the... maybe not definitely, but there could be people who join during the voting time and then don't anymore. So I just have to like leave that in the game forever, which would be kind of stupid, and I don't want to do that. So And there's not like an easy, there really isn't a way to like easily clear everyone's tower voting profiles. I could call it something else. I don't have to call it something else here. I can call it in data. Here's what I'll do. You say rename test to tower stats, since that's very important. Set up profile. What does that do? Get profile store. Yeah, got it. Okay. So this is like where I decide what the main name of this thing storing everyone's data is going to be called. So maybe not tower voting, but ring 5 tower voting. Then it's going to cause a problem here, though, because we're going to try to do ring 5 tower voting profiles, and I kind of just want it to be tower voting profiles because that's what I set up here. I could rename it ring 5 tower voting profiles, but then that's going to say that table doesn't exist every time I said that. But just use Control F. It's not that bad. Tower voting profiles. Yeah, see, I only said it like 5 times. Or like, not even that many times. Ring 5 tower voting profiles. And here, so now every time it says tower voting, we have the one where I define the table. We've got the one there and the one there. None of them just say tower voting profiles. So if I type like ring 5 tower voting profile, you can see it also says 3. There. Okay. That has thus solved the problem I was worried about. So even though I can't actually delete it, at least I have it organized in a somewhat logical way. And then when I do a different area, like ring 6, I can just call it entirely different profile store. And that will be like kind of fresh. No one has any entries there. And now I can know what a player, or that a player has voted on a tower, should I ever need to know that, even though I won't, but, you know. Yeah, no, I'm just making up excuses because I don't know how to delete it. And because you can't delete it. But if I can't delete it, I may as well store it in a logical way. I think that's about as good as I can do. So. Did I ever? I created this profile store already. The one that's just called tower voting. That's not that one. This one. But it's just an empty table anyway. Doesn't tell it to like do anything. So, okay, created my entry in one that's just called tower voting. Whatever. It's fine. Roro, why did you quit making shorts? I've been focusing on this. I didn't quit. I'll get back to it. And I know I haven't been posting many videos lately. I've posted like one in the last month. They'll pick up again once I finish ring 5. So, there's that. Back to this. We have enable voting, which calls the function enable voting. And this itself will check if the player has already unlocked that. So we don't need to do that here. Here we just need to make sure a player has hit the thingy and they're not in the debounce period. So like if they just like stand here and then hit it again 10 seconds later, it will call that again, but that's honestly okay because we already have the hey, if they've already reached floor 7 before, we're not going to enable voting again. So in a way, that is also kind of a debounce. I don't know. It seems like it would maybe use unnecessary resources to run that check a whole bunch of times rather than once every 10 seconds at max. But really, I think it would probably be fine, but a debounce it wouldn't hurt anything. So at this point, I think we can just type that. Oopsie. Call this function, which will enable which will allow the player to vote on the difficulty of that tower. Then I'll say that only happens if they haven't yet reached, or if they haven't before reached floor 7. Haven't reached floor 7 before. Do I need to say that? The function only lets that happen. The function only lets that happen. There. Again, long comments. I just do that. But there we go. I think that should get that ready. Yeah. Okay. Let me start the game. Now, since this is my first time after renaming it to Ring 5 Tower Votes. Oh, it printed nil. That's fine. Okay. I just need to make sure I change that. It's fine. It just didn't print it because I need to change it there, which I'll do shortly. Ooh, I'll need to confirm you're in the tower before I do that. I don't just want to make it do that, you know, randomly. If you just randomly, you know, get flung over there somehow, or be a sneaky little boy and hack no-clip into the game, which, there'll be anti-exploits against that. You can see it's printing kick 6 and kick 5 constantly. I just commented out the line that actually kicks you so that I can, you know, use no-clip while testing. But let's just assume for now that I've done those checks before I do this. You hit this, you're not going to see anything in the output because I didn't tell it to put anything. Uh-oh. That's fine. Okay. Now, if I leave and rejoin to get it to print the profile again, in theory, we should see that in Ring 5 Tower voting profiles. Assuming I rename that to that. So that it prints the right thing instead of something that doesn't exist. Should be the third one that printed. If I go to data, look at that. TOBB equals true. Oh, right, I wanted to make it be Tower of the full... Wait, no, it doesn't need to be the full name anymore because it's area specific. That concern has been solved, so that's cool. Like, if there's another TOBC in some other area, I don't have to worry about that because this list here is going to be only including towers in Ring 5. So cool. Okay. So now, very similar to what else? I guess the checkpoint script. I want to, before doing anything, given that they just hit that part there, I need to, like, do these same kind of checks. I need to make sure... Pretty much need to determine if the player's in that tower. That's about it. I could run a checkpoint check, but there could be checkpoints after floor 7. I don't remember if that's the case on any of the towers, but I'm not sure. Don't really want to check it right now because I don't know. Nil difficulty option in tower polls. Hey bro, do you know any other programming languages? No, I guess I could learn them, but they're pretty similar to Lua in most ways, I think. I mean, isn't, like, the only main difference, like, just sort of the syntax, you know, there's certain ways you have to say something. Or, you know, for example, in Lua, you do dash dash to write a comment. I think in others you do, like, slash slash or something. Yeah. But I mean, by doing all this coding for Ring 5, I've definitely gotten very comfortable with Lua coding and understanding how that works. Right, okay. In tower voting script, we need to confirm the player is in the tower that they just hit the win pad of. I mean, not win pad, but tower voting point. And we do that by calling up teleport script and saying, hey, is this player in this tower? At some point, I think I have... What player is tower in remote function? Or what is player in tower bindable function? Okay, this one is the one we're going to use. Clock. Oh. there is a difference between is player in tower or what tower is player in. Is player in tower sees if a player is in a tower of that, like, you know what, who cares? You'll see it shortly. We're going to take this and indent it because I'm going to now put it, well, maybe not yet. Just leave it like that for a second. Is player in tower bindable function? We're going to need to get access to that in tower voting script, which means we're going to need replicated storage. And then the way I kind of set up the start of these scripts is I'll usually like define all the services first and then like define everything from those services next. So like we have workspace. Technically that's a service, but I just say workspace because that's easier than saying game get service workspace, although I could do that too. Seems kind of pointless though. And I do that in the order they're listed over here. We have replicated storage and then server script service. So I'll put replicated storage, or sorry, I want to do, wait, what am I looking for? Is player in tower bindable function. That's not in replicated storage. That's in server storage, I think. Is player in tower. Yes. So actually delete that. I don't need that. And instead do, right here, local, that is not what I meant to type, local server storage equals game get service server storage. Then down here we're going to go local is player in tower bindable function equals server storage, wait for child, not request one time, I clicked the wrong thing, is player in tower. Yeah. Now, a bindable function is where you have two server scripts, and one of them is asking another for some piece of information. That's basically what that is. So, tower voting script is asking teleport script, is the player in this tower? So, what we want to do is we want to do local is player in tower as a variable. This will be true or false, not referencing that. But this variable is going to be set to whatever is player in tower bindable function invoke using what it requests or what it needs. Player. The player and tower acronym. Player tower acronym. I didn't define that. I can do point.name though. But why do that when I can say local tower acronym equals point.name. Wow, I cannot type. Point.name. There. Then just type that instead of point.name. Cool. Okay. So what this is going to do is it's going to go ask teleport script, is the player in, let's say they hit Tower Berry Blast again. The player just hit the Tower Berry Blast difficulty voting point. Teleport script. Would you verify that they're actually in Tower Berry Blast for me? Then teleport script is going to say, well, let's see. They'll look through the table of what towers the players are in and say if they're in a tower and if that tower is what you say it should be, then I'll return true, and otherwise I'll return false. So cool. This is going to be true if the player is indeed in the tower they just hit the difficulty voting point of. So if is player in tower, not BF, but just is player in tower equals true, then we are going to do that. Now we're good. Like, we've confirmed they're in the tower, so we are good to allow them to vote on the difficulty. Only the most exquisite function names. Like, is player in tower? Where is player in tower rush? Yeah, it's always annoying when I want to name a function, but I don't know what to name it that isn't, like, super long. So sometimes I just deal with it being long, but whatever. Cool. I guess we can test that. So let's try a different tower that I don't already have an entry of. Hold on. Where's a good one? That I remember where it is. I guess we'll do Tower of Wacky Obstacles. Good an option as any. It's the difficulty voting point, I think, was here. Yes, there it is. Okay. So since I was in the tower, that should have just updated it. Let me rejoin the game so it prints the profile again. And wait about 5 seconds. There we go. Should be that one. Look at that. True. So yes, I can vote on those because I've unlocked the ability to. Why did I just leave? That was dumb. Now I have to rejoin. Let me do a different tower. It's pretty much just retesting what I just did for Tower of Berry Blast. What I meant to do was not actually enter the tower. And then I'll also try it while being in a different tower. So let's try doing the one for Tower of Absolute Neon, but I'm not in Absolute Neon. Or not in Tower of Absolute Neon. What should have just happened is Tower Voting Script realized I hit the part, but asked Teleport Script, hey, is this player in Tower of Absolute Neon? And Teleport Script said no. Thus, if I look at here, I should see that Tower of Absolute Neon is not listed there. And indeed it isn't. Okay, how about Tower of Celestial Sky, but I'm in Tower of Birthday Celebrations? So if you somehow get over here, and then you do that, then let's rejoin, so print the profile again. That also should not add or say you can now vote on Tower of Celestial Sky, because I wasn't in Celestial Sky. So perhaps a better name of is player in tower would be is player in this tower. Because we don't just want to know if they're in a tower in general. We want to know if they're in some specific tower. Oh, also, you can see it doesn't say Tower of Celestial Sky. But if I rename it, then I have to rename it in like 6 things, and I don't feel like doing that. And also, where I call that, let me type in a comment, teleport script is listening. That way, if I'm ever trying to debug something and I don't remember what is listening for this invoke, I just wrote it there and I'll be like, okay, so where does it do that? Okay. We're doing is player in tower bindable function, and checkpoint script, and tower voting script. Cool. So, now we've done about like half of what I needed to do for this difficulty voting thing. We now have the code that will enable your ability to vote once you reach floor 7 of a tower. Kick 6, what a nightmare. Reference. Yes, Brian was helping me debug that in Tower of the Planets, because it was sometimes doing that when you entered practice mode. But that shouldn't be a problem here, at least for now, because what Kick 6 does in this is it will kick you if you have any items, which you shouldn't in Ring 5, like, at all. But once I add items into this game, then I'll have to recode that to, if you have an item, only kick you if you don't have the proper authorization. Which, the checking of the proper authorization was the problem before in Tower of the Planets. We mostly debugged it. I think you can sometimes still get that, but it seems mostly fine to me, as far as I can tell. Basically, it was like, when you entered practice mode, it, like, sometimes went, I don't even remember exactly what it was. Doesn't matter. But, close some scripts I don't need. I don't need checkpoint script. I don't think I need teleport script anymore. Let me just do this now. When you hit the difficulty voting point at floor 7 of any tower, you get the ability, or gain the ability to vote on that tower's difficulty. Okay, that's all that does. Let me just, like, collapse that. Apparently that expands it again. So that's kind of part 1 of this. So let me go back to my plan of how exactly I'm going to do this in this Google Doc. When you hit one of these invisible parts, you unlock the ability to vote on that tower's difficulty. That information is your profile store. Done. Now I need to do, when you vote, it saves your vote to a data store. Every player's vote is saved to the same key so that I can easily see it, or see all the votes. Oh, data stores. I don't like data stores. I was thinking this big data store with all the lists would go a little something like, hold on. Let's try to do that. Local data store service equals game data store service. This is going to be a very simple data store because all it is just going to be a big list of hold on. Yeah, just a big list of the difficulties people have voted on. So like local example table. This is just an example table of what this data store service would hopefully look like. It would hopefully just be a giant table, or the key of the data store would be just something. Every vote would reference the same key. We could just call it like ring 5 votes. Ring 5 votes. Difficulty votes. Be as clear as I can. Ring 5 difficulty votes. Wait. No. Because it's gotta be by tower, doesn't it? Do I want to do a different data store for every tower? Or maybe a different table? What if I do like TOBFO equals some table? Then I can do like the next one, Tower of Celestial Sky equals some table. Then, we need a comma there also. Then I can just start listing every vote. This table too, maybe that needs to be the key. Do keys have to be strings? I think they have to be. So that can be just your player's username, 6550316. That's my user ID. That will be the key within this table. And then your vote will be, let's say I voted low easy, which is what I'd say that tower is. This one. Then we can say a different user ID. Just type something in that's random. Dog. They said it was medium, or mid easy, I mean. Dog. Dog. Making it so you're required to have beaten the tower would make more sense, I feel like, since some towers might be more second half heavy. As I recall from Forgotten Ridge, though, you had to reach like floor 8, I think. And remember, these are only 8 floors, so floor 7 is basically at the end. And as far as I know, there's no towers that have like... Well, there shouldn't. No tower should really have like a huge difficulty spike right at the end. Maybe there's like a final outside, but that shouldn't really affect the tower's difficulty too significantly. Yeah, so I think it's fine as is, in my opinion. Okay, Tower Celestial Sky. Let's say my vote. I think that one is mid-easy. Mid-easy. And some other dude with a abnormally long user ID thinks it's nil. Well, that won't be an option. Would be funny though, but let's say it's low easy. So then I think I could just go, hey, print from this data store this key, everything in there, which I think it should print this table, and if not, I think I could just use a for in loop to print the table manually. Well, is manually the right word? Like, kind of just entry by entry, print out the whole dictionary. I think that would work. Now, it would organize them by, it would print it in the output. The concern now would be if I have a whole bunch of these, how am I going to just look through them all? I could make it so it like just prints. Yeah, if I do in a for in loop, write code to do this for me, basically. if the entry is low easy, add one, like keep count of how many say low easy and how many say mid easy and how many say high easy, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, that'll be way easier than manually counting them up, and will be very easy. Then I can just take whichever one has the most votes, and or maybe just sort of average the votes together, / use my own opinion, / whatever, and then that will determine what I decide the difficulty will be. Okay. Next problem. Is I have to like reference the entire data store to add one thing. That's not too much. It's not too bad, but I'm not really doing this with profile service, so I kind of, like, let's say the player votes. What do I want to do? I want to reference, I know this is a table, but it's a name of a data store. Ring 5 difficulty votes. I want to go ring 5 difficulty votes dot tobfo, which is this table, and then define a new entry, which is going to be the string of the player's user ID with their vote. But that's referencing it as though it was a table, as though it were a table. So I'm not doing that because it's a data store. I have to do set async. Which is, how does that work? I think it has to be the whole thing I want to set it to, which means I'd have to take this gigantic table with get async, add one thing to it, and then add it back. And then that could cause problems when we're dealing with multiple servers. This is why I don't like data stores, because there's... I don't know if there's a way... There probably is a way I can do this with profile service, but... Yeah, next problem, life of a scripter. Roro, what if the tower starts at floor 7? Then I just put the difficulty voting point at what I feel like is 7/8 of the way through the tower. So like this one starts at, you could consider that floor 8. I put it down here at what you could consider floor 2. Okay. So set async. Hold on, remember what it is. I'm reading the documentation page. This function sets the latest value, user IDs, and metadata for a given key. Values in data stores are versioned, meaning global data store set async will create a new version every time it is called. Prior versions can be accessed through data store list versions async or data store get versions async for up to 30 days, at which point they are permanently deleted. Ordered data store does not support versioning, so calling this method on an ordered data store key will overwrite the current value and make the previous version inaccessible. Metadata definitions must always be updated. Okay, what about update async? That one might be more what I'm looking for. Global data store set async is best for a quick update of a specific key and only counts against the write limit. However, it may cause data inconsistency if two servers attempt to set the same key at the same time. Update async is safer for handling multi-server attempts because it reads the current key value from whatever server last updated before making any changes. However, it's somewhat slower because it reads before it writes, and it also counts against both the read and write limit. Okay, to me that seems like what I'm looking for. Read and write. That seems like a key phrase as far as what I'm looking for. A scripter's life. Fix a problem, cause another. Real. What if the tower has an hour-long final stretch? Tower of the Planets. If it has an hour-long final stretch, then that would mean the final stretch, for it to still be really a final stretch, there would have to be a very small percentage of the tower, which means the whole tower would be extremely long, and that would still mean you've reached about 7/8 through the tower. So, Creamsicle kind of has a harder last floor. That is true. But, I mean, it's not like this is going to significantly change the difficulty, really. So, like, I feel like it's fine. Since you kind of have a feel for the difficulty by the time you get to here. Okay, so I'm going to use update async. This function retrieves the value and metadata of a key from the data store and updates it with a new value determined by the callback function specified through the second parameter. Huh? If the callback returns nil, the write operation is canceled and the value remains unchanged. I think I understand what that means. I think that means if I call update async, this isn't how you do this, but it requires two parameters. Hold on. What did it just say? Retrieves the value from metadata from a key to the new value and the callback. Yeah, I think you say the data store name, ring 5 difficulty votes, and then a function. I can define that earlier or just define it right here. Then that function is where we will read this table and say, I guess we can run another check. Has this player already voted? We shouldn't be calling this function if they have, but if they haven't, what? Let's just say, in this, we're going to say, oh, add an entry to the table of that tower of that player's entry. I think, yeah, that should be fine. I think I can understand now. So, we've defined the data store service, and we've given ourselves an example table. Let me go back. Well, I'll call it ring 5 data difficulty votes, whatever. That table's going to get deleted soon, because that's just a variable to visualize exactly how this is going to go. What are the strings with the numbers for? Those are user IDs. I don't know if you can define a table with numbers where the numbers are. Like, can you do a dictionary table where the keys are numbers, or do they have to be strings? Number literal exceeded. Okay, fine. Fine. The comedically large user ID isn't allowed. Fine. I do print ring 5 difficulty votes. Let's just see what happens. Does it break everything? Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a string. It's better to use strings, is it? Whoops, I meant to click that. Why are we doing this and not just making it a dictatorship where the owner has to say in difficulty and also take 70%? Interesting. Anyway, okay, we have the data store server. So, let's start by just like setting up. We'll make it so it waits. It does a task.wait of 10 seconds, and then we'll just like save to this data store. This will be how we sort of begin. But I can't. Can I clear the, like, if I temporarily fill it with like, if I temporarily fill the data store with like a temporary table of fake votes like this, I can't delete a data store, but since there's only, yeah, never mind. I think we'll be good. We'll be good. Oh, my head hurts. That's why I don't like data stores. How do I need to find the data store. Local data store Well, let's call it ring 5 difficulty votes. So let's call this Among Us. Ring 5 difficulty. Actually, wait, no, it won't be called Among Us. Let's just call it difficulty votes store. Equals data store service get data store. Yeah, and then we just type in the name. Ring 5 difficulty votes. It would be logical to call this ring 5 difficulty votes too, but yeah. And do I want to make it a lowercase d? I guess I will. Normally I like to do variables with the first letter lowercase. So we have the data store now. So then, when something happens, it's going to be when you step on the button or click it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do that. Yeah. But we'll just do task.wait of 10 seconds and then update it. So let me actually put this before the task.wait. Not super important, but I'll do that anyway. Okay, so let me try one thing first. Does trying to define a data store while also having profile service running, does that break everything? What do I call that? Tower voting script? No errors, so I think we're good. Might break when I try to update, but I guess we're about to find out. So then what do? I do difficulty stores, update async. Yeah, that's what I call that. So remember, ring 5 difficulty votes, the data store looks like this table, where these are keys. So in sort of the more standard way typical data stores are done, the keys would be a player's user ID. So like, let's say this was like coins. It was called coins, was the data store. Then I'd have the player's user ID and then a number value of how many coins they have. But here, the keys are not player's user IDs, but tower names. And then the points of the user IDs are just so I can know. Sorry. So it's just so I can know who voted what, if I ever need to know or want to know. Could keep them anonymous, but I don't think I really have to. So then, let's do task.wait and then difficulty vote store update async. And then what does it want? It wants updates a key's value with a new value from the specified callback function. Key, the key name for which the value should be updated. Let's say TOBFO, comma, and then transform function any. Transform the function. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's like the autofill thingy / help, but it says transform function that takes the current value and data store key info as parameters and returns the new value along with optional user IDs in metadata. Can I just say function takes the current value of the data store key as parameters? Let me just look this up. Hold on. Update async Roblox. Okay, so I can type in past data as the parameter. Then if past data.data version isn't equal to player.data version. Whoa. I think we're good here. Okay. We're figuring this out. Remember, you should include the tower rush in difficulty votes because yes, actually I think I will do that. That's a good idea. Because this is canon. Like, this will give you a badge if you complete it. Unlike in SMToH. And currently, it does save your data, your tower stats too. And I said it's insane difficulty. That's kind of just, I don't know. Well, people will vote. That's what I think it should be, an insane difficulty. But, yeah. Look how fast, look how good I am at the tower rush. I beat it in a minute and a half only. I'm so good. So, yeah, we need a function. So then what's the standard way of doing that? Update async should be used to compare data and decide if it should overwrite or not. a simple example, but pretty good and popular example, is to compare version numbers. If past data dot data version is unequal to player dot data version dot value, I mean, yeah, past data is just going to return whatever it was before the player tried to vote, which is fine, I guess. So we can just use that to say, when we do return, and then we do new data. Let's call it new data. Local new data equals past data. And then we make some change to it. Let me define a function outside here, a local function. Local function add vote. Given a player's user ID and given what their vote was. And let's go ahead and say number, and vote is string. Actually, let me not say those. I don't know. Because then I'd have to say past data. I don't know what I'd say for that. How about I try this? I'm going to do print past data. What does it actually print? It doesn't like that. Does it have to have a return? No. It doesn't like me. Doesn't need another parentheses? No. Why is it doing that? It was doing that before. Oh, because not... What? Why is it doing that? Oh, wait. That's why. I didn't close that idea. Print past data. We go ahead and comment this out too. See what's going on. Tower voting script. It did not print anything. Oh, wait. There we go. Because I had the task out. Wait. It just printed nil. I think that's because I never told it. Because this is just an empty data store. I haven't saved anything to it. That makes perfect sense. But the first time someone votes to it for the... Well, what if I comment this out and then run one time like a setup? Like a setup for this. We'll wait 10 seconds and then do difficulty votes store set async. Then we're going to set it to like a default kind of table. The key... Start with TOBFO, and then the value is going to be an empty table. This doesn't have to be as efficient as it can possibly be, because this is only going to run once. Let me just paste it in, 18 times is how many times I need. I want to do that for TOCS, then I want to do TO... What's the order of all these? Pretty much have them memorized. We want TOBC1. And then we want TOSSS, then TOBC2, then TOVOE, then TOMV, then TOCOSC, TOAN, and then TOWO, and then TOC, and then NEFPM, not even a fully pure SNEET, then Tower of I Love Purism, Tower of Filled Spaces, Tower of Interminable Failure, Tower of Berry Blast, and then one more, Tower of Layered Challenges. There should be 18 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Did I miscount? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, I missed one. TOBFO, TOCS, TOBC1, TOSSS, TOBC2, nah. Am I missing one here? Tower of Epic Top Heads. I forgot that one. That was after Tower of Creamsicle. Now I should be able to count in just 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think that should set up these. And then let's do it after I do that. We'll do a task.wait of like 5. Then we'll do print difficulty votes store. Actually, wait. Uncomment this. This isn't going to update anything because I'm not telling it to. I'm just printing its past data, which in theory should print this, but with all the tower names and with no votes in any of them. Okay, it's not going to update immediately because I put a task.wait of 10 seconds, so just walk around and contemplate life for a few more seconds. And why did it print an empty table? Oh, wait, because I said it like that. That's a good sign. Because it printed what it should have given what I typed, which is not what I wanted to have typed for what I'm trying to do. Let me re-comment that again. What if I just print difficulty vote store? What does that do? Does it print everything in the data store? I don't think it does. I think I've tried this before, and it doesn't do that. Read the chat while we wait. I want to move my JTOH fan game and I've created a studio, but it's going to be so hard. Yeah. Ring 5 difficult. Wow, thanks. That was real. Exactly what I was looking for. But it's fine. I think I set it up right. So now I can delete all these. Now that they've ran and set up the data store. So now Ring 5 difficulty votes has 18 keys. Wait, and is 19 actually. I want one for TO or Ring 5 Tower Rush. Because you can vote on the difficulty of that too. But then when? Yeah, do you want to be able to vote on the difficulty? And if so, where? The difficulty is, of course, inconsistent by design, because you start with the easy towers, then play them all up the difficulty chart. I could put it, like, halfway through this tower. This is the final one. Or I could make it so you have to win the whole thing. Or, since only the most dedicated players who are probably in the Discord will be completing it, maybe they can just, like, tell me. But also, that seems kind of stupid, and I should probably just do that. So, yeah. I'll have it so that you can vote when you reach, like, halfway through the final tower. That way we've gotten a feel for the difficulty of the thing overall. Okay, just wait a while to make sure it runs that code and sets that up. TOLC rebeat. I'm sure it's run by now. Okay. We've set that up, so I can delete that. While I'm here, I will go add a new difficulty voting point for Ring 5 Tower Rush. Since it's within this tower, I can probably just duplicate this. That seems logical enough. Then I'm going to rename it to R5TR. And then we want to put it at the start of floor 5, which here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right here. But then consider, how do you get to floor 5? Like, what is the jump like? It's after you land this head hitter. So, let me put it, like, right there. That seems good. You'll hit it after you land that head hitter. Cool. So, I think that's all I have to do. If I go take a look at this again, when the player hits that, they're going to ask, is player in the Ring 5 Tower Rush? They're going to ask teleport script that. And teleport script is going to say, Yeah. Because while you're in the tower rush, teleport script says you're in R5TR. The tower rush script is what keeps track of what tower within the tower rush you're in. But then I don't want you to just like start the tower rush and then fly to the there. Technically that would work if you use like no clip. So what I can do is, where is player in tower rush? That's called somewhere. It's currently checkpoint script invokes that at some point. Returns an acronym of the tower the player is in the tower rush. If the player is not in the tower rush, it returns nil. Invoked by checkpoint script, and now tower voting script. So, I'm gonna need that, and that's in server storage. Yeah, server storage. Local where is player in tower rush BF equals server storage. Wait for child. Where is tower? There we go. Okay, so now, if the player is indeed in a tower, then we want to see if tower acronym, yeah. Yeah. If tower acronym equals ring 5 tower rush, so if they just hit this part, then we want to check that they're actually on Tower of Layered challenges in the tower rush. We want to do local where is player in tower rush equals where is tower in BF invoke. Take note that tower rush script is listening. Also, I think I wrote that wrong before. I wrote in tower voting script. No, that was right. Never mind. So we ask tower rush script, hey, is this player actually in? Or we ask, where are they? And then if where they are is TOLC, then we are good to call that. Else, if they are not in the ring 5 tower rush, then we're just good to call the function. Add some comments here. If the player is indeed in a tower. If the player is in the ring 5 tower rush. Hold on, let me move this down a line so I have a bit more room. If the player is in the ring 5 tower rush, make sure they've actually reached Tower of Layered challenges. That's too much space. If they're not in the ring 5 tower rush, we're good to just update, or we're good to just enable their voting. Enable their voting. That's a lot of green text. Let me add another line there. Looks a bit nicer. Let me add one there too. And there, and there. There. You want your code to look elegant, right? Does beating a tower rush give you the badges for every tower in the area? No. But that's an interesting question. Do I want it to? I kind of don't. And I kind of don't feel like scripting that. I mean, you shouldn't be... It's probably not a good idea to attempt the tower rush if you've never played any of these towers. Yeah, I think I'll leave it as just no, is the answer to that. Okay, we kind of got off of the main task there when I was thinking, what happens if you... For Ring 5 Tower Rush, right, okay. So now we have this set up. This is an example table of what it will look. We have the data store set up. Cool. I think I can close these too also. Uh-oh. Did I just change something accidentally? I think I might have. Yeah. Oopsie. Just Control Z. Okay, we're good. Keep going. Very motivational. Roro Studios, I plan on starting a fan game in studio after I complete the 3rd area. Should I do that, or should I start after the 2nd area? Like, have you already built the 1st and 2nd in, like, Obby Creator or something? Roro, can you give me a motivational speech so I can continue working on TOIM for Ring 6 SMToH? Look at the amazing ring that your tower could be a part of. So it'd be great to have your tower be a part of this, and I would love to have it. You're working on the 2nd area right now? Ring 1 through 4 is in Obby Creator, Ring 5 is in Studio. Yes, that is true of SMToH. So yeah, we've set up the Discord. Cool. So let's get back to where I was long ago of we were defining a function to add a vote. Given a user ID and given a vote. But also for a tower. User ID, tower, acronym, just be clear as possible, vote. Let's go ahead and write a comment too describing what this is. Adds a, or the function for submitting a vote for a tower's difficulty with the arguments being the player's user ID, the tower they're voting on, and their difficulty vote. Okay. So, I guess we can do difficulty votes store update async for the tower acronym and what they're and a function called pass data. Set up pretty much like that. Okay. So we're gonna call this when the player clicks the button. So we're gonna find this, but not actually this, but that's just what it will look kind of like. Then we're gonna say pass data should be that. I think. Yeah. So we'll say pass data tower acronym. Let's say TOCS is what they're trying to vote the difficulty on. Then we're going to define a new key within that. Two-string user ID. So we're saying, look at this table and now add a new wait, hold on. No, let's save this as a variable. Local acronym or table for acronym. Really stupid name, but okay. Which is going to be this table. Now, what if I call it votes table? Then just add a comment saying the table for votes of the specific, the table for already existing votes on that tower. On the tower the player wishes to vote on. Sure, the table for already exists. Yeah, so this table. Then we want to check if their user ID already exists. But we have to do the stupid way of doing table.find because it's a dictionary. Alright, let's open tower vote script because we kind of just did that earlier. Why isn't that letting... This is tower... I'm stupid. Okay. No, wait, it was manager. Never mind. Hold on. It was called enable voting. let me just copy paste this and see how many problems it causes. Pretty much just like basing it off of that. Let me just retype it again from scratch. Maybe that's easier. Local can submit vote or can add vote equals nil, starting with that. And then see if the player, we're going to go for index comma value in pairs, not profile.data, but votes table do. So we're looking through here. And then we're saying if index equals toString user ID. Question, what if I do toString with something that already is a string? Oh, wait, print that. Yeah, so what toString does is it converts a number to a string, if it's a number. Yeah. So those two things, yeah. What that means is if you call this function, but you put that in quotes or not and just leave it as a number, it'll still work because the toString it'll be fine. Not strictly important right now, but that I might mention that because I thought of it. So if the index equals toString user ID, let's say trying to vote on TOCS, and my user ID is 6555316, we see, oh, that's already there. So then we don't want to update it. So actually I want to do not equal. Wait, no, hold on. If it is equal to there, then can add vote equals false, which is what I did down here. If we make it through the entire table and say if can enable vote or can add vote equals nil, because it never got set to false, then can add vote is going to be true. I said the wrong thing. True. There you go. Now I can delete this because I don't need it. Wait, hold on. Copy these comments. They're kind of nice. If we find any matches set not can enable voting, I'm calling can add vote to false. If you make it through the entire, not profile, but table with no matches, set can add vote to true. See if the player has already voted for this tower, or has already voted on this tower's difficulty. Which, hold on. Yeah. What did I do? Yeah, this should account for that already, but I'm doing this anyway, even though it's kind of pointless to do that. Oh boy. I'm so lost here. Well, not really. What did I tell this to do? Submit vote. This function will save to a player's profile that they have voted on a tower. This makes it so they cannot vote on that tower again. So profile.data tower acronym equals false. Right. So when they submit vote, it should do that. And now they're unable to get their voting enabled again. But right, we only want to add the vote if they can vote. This whole function should only be running anyway if they're, what did I call this profile? If they're ring 5 tower voting profiles, entry for this tower is false, no, true, but this is an extra precaution. There. So, yeah, basically, it's not really important, but whatever. Anyway, on to this question now. I know I've been ignoring it. Rose Studios, what are you planning for a 5,000 subscriber special once you hit 5,000 subs. Well, I wanted to do like another sort of tournament thing, like I did at 4,000 subscribers, because people really liked the JTOH Jeopardy. I don't want to do exactly the same thing again, though, because, well, it would be exactly the same. I was thinking maybe like a collaborative challenge that everyone can participate, or maybe in like teams or something, of like obbying and also doing like answering trivia questions about JTOH, like in JTOH Jeopardy. We'll see who can reach the end of this challenge first or something like that. How many subscribers am I at? I'm pretty close, actually. Or relatively. 4,791. Yeah, it would... I'd reach it much sooner if I were posting more videos, but I'm working on this. But I'll start posting more videos after I finish Ring 5. Anyways. Now that we've done that, if can add vote is true at the end of that whole thing, and also needs to be equals true, then we are good to hold on. This is all equivalent, sort of, to table.find. Pass data, yeah. So if they can add vote, so if their name is not in this list, or if their user ID is not in this list, then we're gonna add an entry to that table. So votes table, which is gonna be this table, and we're gonna define a new key, toString user ID, and the entry, or the value, I mean, is going to be whatever the vote was. So I should have used all these, right? I used user ID, I used tower acronym, I used vote. Now, what if for some reason this is called, and this is like TOA? That's not an acronym of any tower in this area. Then it will do passdata.nil. So then I guess this is going to be nil, right? If I take a table and put in something, let's say one key is Among Us equals the number 3, another key is hello, yellow, since I can't type, that is a string, that is yes. And then I print that dot, then some other key that doesn't exist. Yamong Us, Yamanu, okay, sure. Then we want to print that. Why does it always yell at me? What doesn't it like? Expected something to close something at number 6. We're printing that tape. Why does this... Oh my gosh. If I just print .nil. Why? Regular parentheses, braces, brackets to define that entry. Then we say, or that key and this value. Then we close the table and then go to something. Why does it always do this? Okay, control X on that. Then let's say local table equals that. Then we're going to do print table nil. Yeah. Table dot yellow equals yes. Table dot some other key that doesn't exist is nil. Table dot nil equals nil. Okay. Why was I doing any of that? You are most definitely wondering. Because I'm checking if it throws an error if you do table.nil, which it doesn't, but it will return nil, as you can see. So I can prevent everything from breaking by going if votes table is in equal to nil then. And I'll say, make sure this isn't nil. It'll be nil if tower acronym was an invalid acronym. Cool. So, this is the part that actually updates the vote, I believe. Yeah, that's always interesting when you have like a whole bunch of lines that just do a bunch of checks, and then the actual thing you're trying to do is like 1 or 2 lines. Actually submit the vote and save it to the data store. Okay. Now, that doesn't use any P calls or anything, which I probably should. But I don't want to. But I know I should. But let's just not and say we did. Until I decide to. So we have a function to add the vote now. Now it's just a matter of calling that once the player steps on the button or clicks the button. I haven't really decided. I'll make it click, I guess. So, hold on. Things are getting a bit chaotic over here. Let me collapse all these. Okay. Did I save? So I'll do a bunch of click buttons. In the Forgotten Ridge, when they did this years ago, they had them looking like the pushbox spawn buttons. They don't have to look like that necessarily. Hold on, this is going to go in the lobby, actually. In the lobby, we want to do a folder, and let's call it difficulty voting area. Then where do I want to put this? Well, hold on, this part needs to have its parent be difficulty voting area. I don't know where in the lobby I'm going to put this yet, but it'll be somewhere. For now, it's just going to be right there. Well, let's put it over here where it was. Why not? Then we should probably have a folder of, like, buttons. Of all the buttons. Let's call it buttons. And then we can add a part. Make sure it's anchored. They should look like the JTOH buttons, shouldn't they, though? Hold on. There can still be a folder called buttons. Let me go find any button in any tower. I think there's that one, which is a bit weird because it's welded to a swing, so I don't want to use that. There's this one. Use your button. Let me go Control-C. And then go Control-Shift-V to paste into. And I'm going to have to do some recoding of this. Yeah. There's no scripts in this, I don't think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, none of those are scripts. So let me collapse all and try to figure out how scripts work for buttons. And it's really long, 345 lines. I am not doing that right now. Mainly what I want to do is just have it so that the button like goes down. Maybe I shouldn't give up instantly. Let's see if I can find it. Well, if you put it in the win room, well then if you want to vote on the tower, you have to go to the win room. Then again, an obby creator did like a secret and not so secret teleporter to the win room, just somewhere in the lobby. I don't really want to do that. But also this tower you can complete in like 30 seconds, so there is that. But nah, I'd rather have it be in the lobby somewhere. Okay, I redid this entire script. Got rid of the inverted button feature because it's useless and made the script much more complicated. Note that you can easily use button deactivators instead for the same effect. Oh. Things that can have their transparency tweened. We have update platforms. These are all defining functions, though, whereas, like, the real thing, it's a module script, so it's under this return function. So this is like the main part of the script, I suppose. For every platform in the client object folder, we're gonna make, oh wait, it says right there, add any platforms existing. Wait, what? Yeah, this basically just activates everything. Add newly, that's not what we're looking for anyway. We find the things. I'm looking for where it like moves the button down and how it does that. Update platforms, not that. Hold on. These have something called button press offset, right? That's a number value. That's got to be referenced somewhere. Aha. I've found a lead. Logo press offset equals, we look for that, and then see what the value is. Because what this is that's how much the button moves down when you press it. So then when do we use press offset? We use that 4 times. 3 of them are right there. Pressed C frame, that's the line. Okay. Although that's just a variable, that doesn't actually do anything. So where does pressed CF go? Or where do they use that? Pressed CF. That's used here. We tween the button part. Alright, we found it. This is riveting. I just don't know how to deactivate teleporters. Do you know how? Like with a button? I can show you. I figured this out once before. If I can remember. I think you just add a bool value called button activated. Whoops. And then make the teleporter part be the same color as the button you want to deactivate it. Yeah. So we tween. They made in the script. They just wrote the function to tween. And they just do. Yeah, it's like it's so that they can do in one line an entire tween service use instead of having to like define the whole tween info thing and all that. So remember line 236. We'll come back to it in a second. Let me investigate this function tween. The part to tween, the tween time, the info, the S in ed. Oh, easing style, easing direction. That's what that is. What is inf? I'll go tween service create. Property table any info. Is that short for info? That's the annoying thing about these scripts is that they abbreviate things and I don't know what they are. Maybe I would if I was better at scripting. And also, was it 236? Yes, that was a line. I mean, pretty much we just tween. Can I see, like, what part of the function? Evidently, I cannot. Oh, there we go. It brought up the... No, it disappeared. Why did it do that? There we go. Okay, so what part are we tweening? We're tweening the button part, which I think is the button itself, not like the base. Tween time is a second. Tween info, this is the tween info. Or no, not info, but something. I think. So pretty much we just need to look at that, and then I just need to have it do this. So maybe I should have done this before. Oh boy. Okay, we have a function to add the votes. Cool. Let me collapse that. Let me collapse that too. It's already done. Okay. So let me do. Hold on. In workspace. Local vote buttons equals workspace, wait for child, lobby, wait for child, difficulty voting area, wait for child, buttons. Vote buttons folder, actually, is what I want to call that. Quite a long line, but that's fine. That gives us this folder filled with these. And what is this part? Why is that in the buttons? That shouldn't be. Oh, it's not. Never mind. Cool. Then we're gonna do for underscore v or button. Let's say button in pairs. Vote buttons folder. Get children. Do. Then we want to confirm that it's actually a button. So we're gonna do if button is a model, then confirm it's actually a button. Same thing I was kind of doing at some point earlier. I've been streaming for like 2 hours. I don't remember, but it was somewhere. First, we're just gonna try to get these to tween. We're gonna do local button part equals. Actually, let me call it button model to be clear here. Button model equals button model dot button part. Yes. Actually, let's do a find first child. Wait, find for what? Hold on. Local button part equals button model find first child button part. There's another just check to prevent things from breaking. We do if button part then then I kind of want to just redo this line, but I didn't define a tween function. I could, but seems kind of pointless. We're going to need the tween service, though, so let me get that. Local tween service equals game get service tween service. Okay. I want to do tween service. No, we do tween info, right? Local tween info equals tween info dot new. Then what do we need? We need the time. This can be 1 second. We need the easing style. Enum dot easing style dot linear. Then enum dot easing direction dot in out. That's our tween info. We could also do reverses and things. I don't need to do that here though. Then yeah, we have our time, and then we need to tween the C frames. Oh boy. I mean, at one point I didn't really like C frames, but I kind of sort of understand them now, I think. So hold on. No. Pretty much, yeah, we just like tween the C frames. So I can do local tween equals tween service create, right? Yeah, create. And then what instance are we going to tween? Button part. What's the tween info? Tween info. What's the property? What properties are getting tweened? It's got to be a table. We're going to do it's a string, I think, right? C frame. Does it go in quotes though? I don't remember. Let me not look here. Let me look in stopwatch script. I use the tween service there. No, it doesn't go in quotes. C frame equals C frame. Wait, C frame equals button part dot C frame minus vector 3 dot new 0 minus 0.75 0. Make that a little nicer looking. Okay, so you press it, and then we're gonna tween that, and then what else do I need? That's it. Those are all the proper arguments for tween there. So we've created the tween. Now I can just do tween play. Okay, well, let's see if that works. Oh boy, this is exciting. I don't know why it looks like that. It didn't work. Why does... Let's look for tower voting script. Doesn't throw any errors. That's lovely. How do you do this? Oh, it's what we're doing. Or what the goal C-frame is. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do here. So damn, what indie we? And also, why did it move up? Why would it do that? Let me go play here and see if I see anything strange going on. Oh boy, this is annoying. Let me set the tween time to like 6. I clicked F5. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so it's starting immediately and going up 0.75. Why would it be doing that? I have no idea. Oh, I know why. I'll tell you why. We're having it start the tween immediately for some reason, and not because I didn't connect it to a touched event. That's why. And also it's going up because I said minus and then minus. I want to do plus. It's doing 2 negatives equal a positive. Or like, you know, the minus a negative number is the same as adding that number. Yeah, well, that should make it move down. And it's going to do that for, yeah, we need to connect it to a touched event, which shouldn't be too hard. If button part, then button part dot touched connect. Come on. Dot touch connect function part. If part dot parent find first child humanoid, then add parentheses around that, although I don't think you actually have to. And then move all this inside here. Why would it do that? Let me go Control X. Okay, now I think we're good. Okay, didn't move yet. So far, so good. I think I hit it multiple times because I didn't put a debounce. I think that's what just happened. Like, if I hit it again, I'll bet it's going to move down further. Yeah. That is okay because it's not too hard to fix that. But, yeah. I do want it to light up as well. I think all I have to do is just set the button material to neon. So we start the wrong thing. Wait, here it is. Let me combine these all like into one line. Move the button down 0.75 studs. Then I also want to do button part dot material. Yeah, that material equals enum dot material dot neon. I could also put, I think, just neon in quotes, but we'll do that. And I also want it to play the button sound, which is somewhere. Yeah. Then we want to do button part dot press play. Although let's make sure it exists. If button part find first child press, then button part dot press play. Play the press sound if there is one, which there should be. Put the period there. Cool. Let me turn the sound up so you can hopefully hear that, and it should turn neon too. Okay, everything worked except the debounce. How far did that move down? Oh, not that far, surprisingly. I think that's because it's only start... Wait, what? Yeah, I think it's because of the debounce, I think. So, not too worried about that because that's what I'm going to do now. Is the debounce. Although, wait. Why is this taking so long? Here we go. Let me close this and this. I don't need them anymore because I got that working how I want it to. So this is like the visual things that happen to the button. Now, I'm also going to want to do this when you rejoin the game if you've already voted on that tower. Because, yeah. Use this sound for button. What is that sound? But, okay. We have... These are like the visual things that happen. I think I already said that, didn't I? But now we want to save that you pressed it to a... Save it to here. We're going to call what function? Submit vote. So I'm going to need to require the manager here. I already did, actually. Never mind. Okay. So we're going to want to do manager.submitVote. This function will save to a player's profile that they have voted on a tower. This makes it so that they cannot vote on that tower again. I see. And what do I need? I need the player. So I'm going to have to figure out who the player is. That's fine. Let's do local humanoid equals part.parent. Find first child humanoid. Then if humanoid, then let's also update the material of button. That's kind of obvious that that's what that does, but I'll type it anyway. Local character equals humanoid.parent. Local player equals players get player from character of that character. Then we want to submit the vote for that player and what tower acronym. Ooh. Alright, I didn't even use this. I can actually delete that. Because they're not saving in their profile what they voted. Wait, I think I will have to save that actually. Because how am I going to know which of these buttons to show is pressed down? Alright, that is lovely then. Okay, let's go back to manager for a second. And bring back what I just deleted. Their difficulty vote, which is going to be a string. So, okay, I guess I'll just make it be a table. I was debating whether I should do this earlier on, but I've decided now. If they... So when we do the submit vote, so when they press one of these buttons, we're going to see... Or we're going to call that, and we're going to say... Wait. If profile.data tower acronym... Yeah, that makes sense to me. Is n equal to nil. We want to do equals true. It'll be true if they can vote on it, meaning they've reached floor 7 of the tower and have not already voted. So if they've reached floor 7 but haven't voted yet, then when we call this function, we're going to do profile.data equals tower acronym difficulty vote. Yeah, then we're going to take that entry, which should already exist anyway, and we're going to set it to a... It doesn't even need to be a table, because it's one... What am I doing? It just needs to be difficulty vote. So it's going to go from saying true, and now it says difficulty vote. Yeah. Okay. I think that's good. So back to here, we need to call player, we need to call the tower acronym, which we're going to have to somehow figure out how that is. Let's just assume we already know it. It's going to underline it in blue, but that's okay. And then difficulty vote string. Vote. Well, Again, another variable that we'll just assume we somehow know. And now we're going to figure out what we're going to do about that. In the button model, I guess I could put like a bool value and call it, well, one of them I can call what tower it is by just naming it that, TOBFO. Then I can call it like high easy. Well, start with low easy. There we go. And also, there's a bunch of stuff in here I can delete. I don't need to worry about the timer, decimal places, no turrets, no sports, GUI, all that I can delete. I can delete pressed. I want to keep the decals on the sound. I want to keep the button base. I can delete that. And that's not in the button. Okay. Because I'm basically just, like, recoding these buttons from scratch. I'm just making them look and act very similarly to the actual Tower Kit buttons. Bro, I'm 2 hours late. Well, I started streaming earlier than normal today. I started at 8 a.m. U.S. Central Time instead of, like, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Because I actually got up with my alarm this time. Still going. I was gone for like 30 minutes. Yeah, I'm probably going to end soon, eventually. But, yeah. Anyway, we're back to here. So, submit vote. What player and what tower and what are they voting on? Or what is their vote? We're going to say local tower acronym. It would be easier if these were string values, wouldn't it? Let me do string values and then call this tower acronym and set its value to TOBFO. And then duplicate this and call it vote. Low easy. With a space, yes. And delete those. Okay. Local tower acronym equals button part find first child tower acronym. Or button model, actually. Almost got that wrong. And then local button, or local vote equals button model find first child vote. But do I need to do the find first child's? I don't want it to break everything if these aren't here for some reason, which they shouldn't be. So this is kind of pointless to do that. Okay. We're just going to do button model dot vote dot value. And this one we're going to do button model dot tower acronym dot value, which will be these string values. And now that should call that as expected. Okay, I think that should work now. Let's do a print manager dot profile or ring 5 voting profiles dot sharknoob 2001. That's a temporary line. It'll error out every time except right now, pretty much. Okay, let's see. Give everything a second to load up. Ooh, it printed nil. Okay, so what just happened? It's printing a million kicks. Dang it. We had the print. What am I looking for? Tower voting script 139. It printed nil a bunch of times. Let me filter by tower voting script. It printed that. Ignore that. Why did it print nil? That is highly irregular. So then what's going on here? Let me delete these, or at least get rid of this print since I don't want that. So I hit the button 3 times, I'm pretty sure. So that... Oh... So maybe it did submit the vote. I don't know. Maybe it's just being weird from that script. If I close that and then wait for it to do all the profile prints. Print profile 7. Oh, wait. I don't think it updated because I don't... It didn't update because I don't have the voting ability on Tower of Beginner Friendly Obstacles. So let me go do that now. Let me just enter the tower. And, where is it? Here we go. Hit the thingy. And so that should have given me the ability to vote now. So now can I? Still printed nil. That's not what I think it should do. Let me try rejoining, see what happened. In theory, it should now have TOBFO listed under my tower votes, and it should say as a string high easy. Or low easy, I mean. Yeah. Alright, that worked. Let's try a different tower. I haven't put the button to let me vote, but just to make sure this is working. If I fly up to floor 7 of this tower, which is there, okay, then I leave and then rejoin, it should say true underneath that. Will I be doing anything besides SMToH today? No, I gotta end the stream soon anyway, but I didn't mean to click that. Okay, profile is printed. Let's see, it should say TOCS, and that should say true. Yes, meaning I can vote on it. Okay, last thing before I end the stream is, it printed, it's printing, I don't know why it's printing nil exactly, but it's printing, nil a bunch of times. So there needs to be a debounce, but do I need to do a debounce table again? I mean, okay, when I did the debounce table with, like, the win pads, to where, like, do I have to explain all this again? I don't know, probably. Basically, with a win pad, I wanted to make sure that if 2 players hit it at the same time, it's not that one of them has to wait an additional second until the debounce runs out, because that would be bad for, like, speedrunning. Not that that's like a super specific, highly unlikely to happen scenario, but that's still something worth avoiding. I think it's okay with the voting buttons, so I can probably just say, underneath here, once we've confirmed it's actually a button, we can do local debounce equals true, and then if humanoid and debounce equals true, then, if I could spell it right, then debounce equals false. And then we're going to do all this stuff, and then we're going to do task.wait 1, and then we're going to do debounce equals true again. So if 2 people try to hit the same button at the same time, then it's like one player's going to have to wait an additional second. But that's okay here. But again, I don't want you to be able to hit that multiple times. So, let me get rid of this debounce for just a second, actually. Because I want to check that the player... I think I'm trying to submit a vote many times when I do that. Now, I've already coded into Manager, I believe, that... that has to be true. So, like, it's not actually submitting multiple votes or anything, but it is still running this code a bunch of times. It's just this isn't actually submitting multiple votes. So let me get rid of that. So I only want to do this if the player hasn't already voted. So I can just see if, let me add a line here. If manager.tower voting profiles player, why doesn't it like that? Oh, because I defined that down here. Player dot data, which is this table. Then we'll say tower acronym. Again, I defined that down here. So let me move this again. Tower acronym. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so if that is unequal to nil, then we want to check if. Now we can just say equals true. If that is true, then if it's nil, it's not going to run. All right, we're going to put all this inside here. If it's nil, it's not going to run. If it's already says like low easy, it's also not going to run. And that's sort of leading me to believe that this debounce doesn't need to exist because this effectively is our debounce. Because we're only, like, we're checking. What? Yeah, we're. Yeah. If manager.ring5 tower voting profiles .sharpnoob 2001 .data .tower acronym is true, meaning they can vote. Let's do confirm they can vote. Yeah, confirm they have reached floor 7 of that tower and haven't already voted on that tower. Then we're good to update the material and do all this stuff and submit vote. And this task.wait is now pointless. So it was deleting all those indents just to add them back. Yeah. Let's see if that worked. Can I still make a tower for SMToH? You can, but it won't be in ring 5. It'll be in ring 6 or 7. I'm considering, like, increasing the number of towers that'll be in ring 7, actually. Possibly up to, like, an extreme tower, too. It didn't run at all. Why would it do that? Wait, I know why. Because... wrong thing. I think this is also the wrong thing. Because I've already voted on TOBFO. That's why. If I temporarily do a script to just wipe all those and say I have not... Let's go to this test script in the server script service. Test script, wipe data test. Let me enable that, and then I want to do local profile equals manager profile. Not manager.profiles, but manager.tower ring 5 tower voting profiles. And then confirm the profile exists, then profile.data equals that. Make sure that's the right thing. Yeah. Don't want to accidentally delete too much. Okay, so it's going to wait a second. I think I set it to wait 5 seconds. Yeah, it ran successfully. Now let me disable this again. Not that it's the end of the world if I delete all the tower stats I've accumulated from all this testing, but I don't want to delete them, preferably. Okay, now if I go to print profile 7, you can see I've now no longer done anything. Like, not reached floor 7 of any towers, apparently. As you can see, that's not going to do anything. But now if I reach its corresponding floor 7 difficulty voting point, which is right here. Now, if I go back to the lobby, please, yes, and it printed nil once. And I think I know why that's printing nil and not something else now that I think about it. But it's fine, because I just need to know it only ran that once, and it's not going to run again. Now, what happens if I rejoin? I think it's going to do what it was doing before I wiped that data store, which was it doesn't let me press the button. So all that I really have to do, like, look, it's not going to do that. So I think all that I have left to do is pretty much, like, add all the buttons and make this voting area look not terrible. And then I can also have it so when you join the game, it'll see what towers you've already voted on and what you voted on them. And then it will, like, press down this button, like, for you. So it'll just press it as soon as you join in the game, but not submit any votes or anything. So there we go. I'd say that was a very successful almost 3 hours. So yes, I'm almost done with the final task, or the final big task of this Ring 5 development. After that, as I've said, there's just a whole bunch of minor things I got to do. For example, what's one that doesn't require... I'll just read a few. Some of these might not make any sense. Make the canvas size of win info frame update to how many frames it's displaying. That probably makes no sense. Add the rest of the hints to all the tower portals. That makes sense. You know, adding, like, not for mobile and such. I still need to do that. I need to add signs to the win room. I need to... I wanted to take the help screen in the menu and sort of retype that, which I'll get to at some point. But yeah, those are all small things. So probably within the next, like, 2 or 3 days, I'll be completely done with this. And then it's just a matter of making the video, which, like I said, the script is over 12,000 words long. What is it right now? Let's see. Word count is 13,315. Now, not all those I'm going to read. Some of them are just, like, little notes for when I edit the video, or what I was just reading off of the things I still want to do for Ring 5. But most of those I am going to read. And it's all scripted, so it all has to be editing heavy too. So I think I'm going to need all the next 2 weeks to edit that. But I think I should be good. And yes, there is a win room that's up there. I think I am good to, like, commit fully to Saturday, February 15th being the release date. It's still going to require so much editing, though. Oh, but we'll manage. So, yes, on that day, I'm going to premiere the video where I build this whole ring. And then after the premiere, I'm going to live stream playing it with everybody. After the premiere, I'm going to release it, and then release Ring 5, then live stream playing it with everybody. For the next few hours after that, I guess. And then, yeah. That'll probably be the biggest, like, bug testing of this, because there's only so much bug testing and obscure edge cases of different things you can do that I myself can test. So that's why it's good to just play it with everybody, so I can fix any bugs immediately. Although, new servers only, I suppose, but whatever. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. I mean stream. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos or live streams. I'll see you in the next one, and have a great day.